This is going to be a position to work on shoulder and thoracic mobility. It's going to focus on incorporating some breathing techniques to work on expanding through your ribs that I use in a population of patients with scoliosis, but it's also good for a lot of us, right? So hands on something higher, chair, coffee table, all work pretty well, right? And I call this an elevated version of child's pose because as I do it, child's pose is typically hands on the ground, which incorporates a lot of rounding in my back. By taking my hands up, it creates a little bit more length to where as I go back, I don't want to let my butt go all the way to my heels. So if I'm landing here, that typically means my knees need to be a little bit further away. So that as I rock back, it's more of my pelvis reaching straight back away from my hands, creating a self-elongation / traction. And I'm letting my chest sink a little bit towards the floor as I feel like my pelvis is reaching back away from me. Like my pelvis is reaching away from my hands. Now once I feel like I'm as far as I can go, or I feel like there's some tightness, or especially if there's pain, I'm going to stop here and I'm going to try and take 2 to 3 to even 5 deep breaths where I'm really trying to expand into my rib cage. So as I inhale, I'm trying to feel this lateral expansion through my ribs without a whole lot of shrugging up of my shoulders. So I'm really trying to keep this down as I go in, nice and slow, and exhale. Like I said, somewhere in the 2 to 5 deep breaths. And then after I've done that, I'm going to slowly, as I come up, avoid this. I'm going to very lightly tuck my pelvis as I pull myself back up, lightly pressing down through my hands, trying to keep my shoulders away from my ears, as I try and come up to more of a straight position. So stopping just shy of this starting to happen. So here, and also when I initiate the coming up is where my back may want to fall. So here I think about that. Tuck up my pelvis, light pressure down into my hands as I'm trying to come up into this straight line. And then once again going back, nice and slow, pelvis reaching away from my hands, chest sinking a little bit towards the floor. Get to that point where I feel like I'm about as far as I want to go. Same 2 to 5 deep breaths. And just so you can see the breathing from behind, you may be able to notice the movement of my ribs. It's going to be subtle, but as I come back here, I'm really trying to think about no movement through the top of my shoulders. I'm trying to expand laterally through my rib cage, and then coming up, a little bit of downward pressure into my hands, trying to think about keeping my pelvis tucked underneath me as I come up into this straight position.